This is Valerie VanBooven with the Senior Care Industry Netcast, where leaders with 3 or more years in the senior care industry share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes, so let's get to it. And in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Al Brandano, and the name of our company is called The Voice Library. We started nearly 12 years ago, and our passion is, understanding and making people understand how powerful their voice and story is. So it's been a very interesting ride. We've changed our company a couple times as people asked for different things, but here we are 12 years later and just thriving and doing a great job helping people.
It says I'm muted. I'll edit that. What's the best thing about serving aging adults?
The best thing about serving aging adults is that they don't realize the power of their story and what they have to offer to other people. And let me share this with you really intimately. We're an audiobook creator, right? We allow families to create their own audiobook for their families. But we're not social media. It's PIN and passcode protected. And you can do our technology anywhere, phone, computer, or mobile app. But what we've learned over and over is that people feel the same way. Nobody cares about me, and no one cares about my story. Everywhere I've gone, that's the truth, and that's what people say. And it breaks my heart because it's not true. The fact is we just have to know what questions to ask. Second, and more importantly, is the family willing to give them their time? This is the most critical. This is where isolation, loneliness, and stress comes in. We talked about this at length. It's really, really important that they have so much to give us, sage advice, history, all these amazing stories of life and life experiences that could inspire your grandchildren and children from time to eternity, but we somehow push them off into the corner and we don't think they're valuable, and they don't think it either. And that's the most critical thing for me. That's the thing I fight every day, especially in the home care, healthcare industry. People are so busy, right? We talk about things, we have great mission statements, but the most important part is engaging the family members to be part of the healing and inspirational living solution. If you can do that, it's a home run.
You're right. Listening and involving the family and the family staying involved with that senior. Huge issues and very important. And for the families who are actually doing that, it can seem tough, but boy, the gratitude and actually it's something that you'll never regret doing once that senior is gone.
And they don't realize the power of that story to comfort, inspire, teach, and entertain over and over. And so what we do is we make it really easy for families to do this very simply into their own audiobook that belongs to them. Our platform allows for story first. So think about the interview process. In most cases, people are either a parents or acting anxiety, right? Nobody wants to be on camera. You could be a movie star or, somebody 90 years old. Nobody wants to be there. You feel subconscious. The trick to what we do is, and this is really powerful, we sit down or you sit down with your family. You ask the questions we send to you to get them started. And there's no video, there's no camera. It's just recording stories via your phone or a computer or a phone, a mobile app, free mobile app. Once they're stored in your library, you go back in and you say, hey, Grandma, would you mind if I take a picture of you with that trophy? Of course not. After the fact, they're willing to do that and they're inspired to do it. The point is, when there's no camera in the room, the soulfulness of the interview becomes so apparent, even if they're strangers. They're waiting to tell you their story, and they don't need a camera on them to do it. In fact, it takes away from it. So we're kind of like Ken Burns. You tell the story, and then the pictures roll through after as you wish. And it's really, the average listening time is between 8 and 11 minutes, which is pretty amazing because it's 3 seconds for us and 9 seconds for goldfish. So that's pretty good as far as attention spans go.
Right, absolutely. That is awesome. So, what we'll do is we will make sure that your website is with all of this, so people can visit the Voice Library and learn more about what you offer and how it works. Let's switch gears for a minute and talk about online marketing. Obviously, your reach is much greater when you do online marketing. So, I hear from other senior service providers that it can be challenging. It's ever changing. What has been your experience with getting the word out and online marketing for the Voice Library?
So, Valerie, the big part for us is that it's been incredibly frustrating over 12 years, right? We started when there was no cell phones. It's pretty amazing. It was only not that long ago, 10 years ago, there were no cell phones. So the challenge for us has been and always been is reaching our, it's almost like a big Venn diagram, right? Who is our customer? And trying to define our customer. The Voice Library is a gift. If I give it to you personally, Valerie, you'd never do it. You have to do it with or for somebody, right? It's an activity. So finding the right partner or the right social media platform that allows us to showcase ourselves as an activity, because it's the only way it works. I don't want to be a pet rock where we just sell somebody something and that's it. The engagement is the most important to me. So finding a platform that allows us to either partner or create that relationship is very difficult. And we've spent bazillions of dollars and we have so far not fared very well.
Well, I think that there are fixes to that, and I think you're right. It is a challenge to get the message out, to get the word out, and you're also right that if you have somebody download the app, they're not necessarily going to do it. It's sort of like, do you remember? I know we have these, and I don't know how many grandmas out there have ever done this, but we have a book called Grandmother Remembers. And it's a book that you have to go through and fill out. This is before the days of being able to access everything online. She went out and she answered the questions in the book. And she put pictures in. And my grandmother actually did this. So we have a beautiful history of her growing up. And again, before we were able to record and everything was available instantly online and all those things. And she did this for us. But I know that is, my grandmother had time to do that. And she wasn't that old when she did it. But it's hard to get people to do things like that. But if you are sitting with someone and interviewing them or just asking them some simple questions, they're much more likely to not only enjoy the process, but to really get into it because they love storytelling. So
they're actually honored. And here's what I hear all the time. As I said to you, and it breaks my heart. No, this is what they say to me. Nobody cares about me, and no one cares about my story. And I fight that all the time until we sit down. And then an hour later, and I say, Mr. Jones or Mrs. Jones, I thought you didn't really want to talk about this. Well, I really wanted to share it with my grandchildren so they'll understand where we came. Did you ever tell them? Well, no, they never asked. The engagement, and this is where in healthcare I think we've failed. And especially inspirational living for assisted living or home care caregivers, is that part of the healing process is we've left out the families. And what we do at the Voice Library is we engage the families to be really part of the healing process. It's critical, and it's the component that's missing. All the, you can read all the fancy mission statements and all the stuff that go with it. I've been in all kinds of places, and I can tell you it's the most critical. Activity directors are overworked. Caregivers are underappreciated. Why not make the caregiver or the activity director the facilitator of this? In other words, they're not doing it, but they're telling the family this is the question of the week, and engage the family to do it. See, if you do that and make them the facilitator, all of a sudden their ratings go up, everything goes up because they're engaging with everybody. It's really pretty simple, but we've forgotten it.
yeah, and you know what? And right now, our activity directors are in a nursing home or assisted living facility. We can't get in to see them. So it's truly at this moment in time, those activity directors are our lifeline for keeping our seniors engaged and interested in life and what's going on around them. And I can tell you, my dad's in a nursing home, and his activity director, we just celebrated his birthday on Zoom. or on Messenger, and it was great. Everybody goes together. We got to see him open his presents, and if it weren't for that activity director, that would have never happened. So I think you're right. This would be a great activity, and then sharing those answers with the family.
And what we've done in the past is at a contest, funniest story, where the whole floor of everyone is involved. The funniest story of your life, and they have a prize. So everyone's involved in the residence. Everyone's involved. We can do that. It's so many things to do. And one of the things that troubles me too is that how many activity directors are women and not men. That's another really important part of this, because when I go there and talk to men, one of the things they would love to do is if you just gave them an engine and said, tear it apart, put it back together, or take a door frame off. They love, guys, I know I'm one, give me something to do. I find that this makes, when you tell a family member that you're doing this for your grandchild, capture history, so he will understand what war was about. He will understand what a concentration camp was about. He understands what being unhealthy is about. All the things that happen in our lives that no one teaches us. Inspire them to be the teachers. Really, we comfort, inspire, teach, and entertain. Their stories will do that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really neat. I'm so glad that we had you on, because this is a great, if it weren't more important, it's always important to know someone's story and to know the person they were before their health started failing them or their body started failing them. But right now, when we can't be with our loved ones in some cases, this is a great way to keep them occupied and give them, like you said, something to do and keep their minds busy. And reminisce with them, because that's something they love to do, is talk about when they were young.
And Valerie, the battery to your brain is your ear, not your eye. There's where the mistake is, right? Vibration is sound, and sound is the part of the brain goes to the hippocampus, responsible for many things, but voice, recognition, emotion, and creativity. That part of the brain is triggered. And that's why when you watch the old movies or silent movies, people were always waiting for something. They had to add an orchestra. They had to do something else to get sound. Your mother's voice is the most powerful thing. I'm going to go over this, over and over, but it's so incredibly powerful. Where most people don't even want to hear it anymore after they pass, because it just is an amazing string to them, an emotional string that, they're afraid to even touch. So it's so powerful. It's really, we've made a mistake. And this is where I think Zoom fails us and the rest of it, video fails us. It's really the voice, and your brain creates the picture. Remember, the same, if you liked broccoli and your brother didn't like broccoli, when your mother said, do you like broccoli? Your brain processed it different, and you saw it and you heard her voice and her tone differently. Tone, intonation, accent, incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So really, this is neat. I'm so glad that we're going to introduce lots of folks to this. Let's switch back to your business and your wisdom about like how things evolved. I'm sure there are other successful leaders or people in your life that brought you to create this product or this service. Who would you like to acknowledge, or who stands out? Organizations, folks, whoever?
Two people, actually. A woman by the name of Gail Davis. Gail Davis runs senior helpers here in Stratham, New Hampshire. One of the most amazing parts of this woman is she came from the business world. Really, her background was strictly in business, very high end, companies. She ran companies for a long time. She had her mother pass away, was concerned about healthcare, got involved in healthcare. Her and her husband, Dwight, they're amazing. The amazing part I love about them is they're not just innovators, but they are educators, and they take the time, at their own personal cost over and over. If it's a military event, if it's this or that, I mean, they get involved in everything. And where the community is so grateful to have someone like that we all can go to as a mentor for business also, not just on the healthcare part, but actually as a mentor in business for all of us. So we really appreciate her, Gail and Dwight, at Senior Helpers in Stratham, New Hampshire. The other
Awesome.
one is a young lady by the name of Claire. I won't use her last name. I'll say D because she'll get mad at me. We started 9 years ago. She walked in my office and she said, I want to do this for the military. I want the Voice Library as a gift that I want to give it to military families before they deploy. I didn't know her husband was deploying at the time. I said, okay, how many do you need? And she said, I need 100 subscriptions. I said, I can't give you 100 subscriptions. I'll be bankrupt. I can't do that. So she said, I'm going to go out, raise the money, and do it. We created together the Military Family Story Project. We have together given away over 1,100 subscriptions in 9 years to military families and veterans for free. It's been an amazing program, and if it wasn't for that young lady who came in here to do that, it would have never happened.
That is amazing. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Claire, and I hope she sees this because that is super amazing. Well, thank you for that. And let's switch back to advice. What piece of advice would you give to other senior care providers?
I think what we had talked about earlier is to go think outside the box a little bit, right? To think outside the box and to give opportunities to people the way they really live their life, and not just the checkers and the things like that, and just getting together. If there's a fishing pond, or we stocked a pond on a residence, or do something that makes them do what they did in their real life. Is I've watched it over and over. I am the best observer. I've been in probably 100 home care places in my time, but it's one of the things that strikes me is they are, you can see the sparkle in their eye, right? They want to still be involved in something and doing something. And I know it's so hard for the facilities and residents because they're under so much of a gun. It's almost like, for liability reasons, we should have a little thing they sign and says, the freedom waiver, or where we can have fun and do stuff. And because let's be honest, once you go into assisted living, you usually never come out. So unless it's for physical therapy, right? So let's let them live a little and let them off the hook with liability. Hope maybe we can do that in some way, or at least educate the families when they go there that they want to do this.
I think you're right. Anytime we can, you see some videos about with folks that live by the ocean, they take their residents out in these special wheelchairs and run them through the water because that's what they did their whole life. They grew up there, and what a nice thing to be able to do again. Yeah, I think taking a little risk is always fun for the residents, and they would love that too. You're right. Okay, last question is supposed to be my fun question, but some people say it's the hardest one. When you have a win in life or in business, how do you like to celebrate? And that could mean you just made somebody's day, and in your heart, that's a win for you. So how do you like to celebrate?
To me, it's leaving the world. I know it sounds a little corny, but to make the world better than, leave it better than when I found it. And so for me, it's never about the size of my wallet has nothing to do with my success. I learned that a long time ago. And when I let that go, everything started to happen. And then the second part is realizing that what I provide people is a gift. At 79 cents a month, it's truly a gift. So it's a gift, and I see it as a gift and not selling to somebody. It's inspired me, and the last thing I do is after I have a big win, I take a walk along the river or outside in nature and just enjoy it and just be grateful.
Yeah, just being grateful. We get a lot of that. We've had answers all across the board, from a bottle of tequila to a martini to just being grateful, celebrating with family and friends. And I think no matter what, you need to realize that you've brought happiness to the world in the job that you've chosen. And so just celebrating, just being someone who's actually given back is enough. So we always need to just take a moment and appreciate what we've done. And I don't think we do that enough. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for introducing us to the Voice Library, and we'll make sure everybody that we can reach knows about it. So thank you very much, Al.
I'm so grateful for your kindness and letting us have an opportunity to be on with you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.